Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, commissioners, and members of the audience. We are ready to proceed with the witness. They've gone to get him. Thanks.
Thank you.
Perhaps, Mr. Chairman, before the witness comes in, I have a procedural matter to deal with. I've been instructed by the exhibit keeper that she wants to rearrange the exhibit numbers and would prefer us to take it from exhibit 168 and then go by A, B, C, D as follows, rather than taking up additional numbers, which would clog up her registry for the exhibits. So we would have to just change the numbering of the exhibits.
We are in your hands. If you can guide us and then just give us some what the new system would be, and we will grant your request.
Okay, thank you. So Exhibit 168, which was the audit report forming part of the Paul Commission's findings, would still remain as Exhibit 168. Exhibit 169 would now be Exhibit 168A, and Exhibit 170 would be Exhibit 168B, and Exhibit 171 would be Exhibit 168C. And then from there, I will continue with the new system.
Fine, that's all right.
Thank you very much. We just wanted to clear the record.
Yeah, please proceed accordingly.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Mr. Jammeh.
Good afternoon.
Mr. Jammeh.
I hope you had a good break.
Well entertained.
Thank you very much that you're enjoying TRRC hospitality. During the first session, you took us through your biographical information, your educational background, and professional history.
Na kacha follow, na si follow, between kacha nying katanyaming, kabiring ita fangok mukibaro, yo fonyang ila karamolondo, ila duko fanang ya fanna be fonyang for itata dandaming.
You explained in detail your time at the Birkama Area Council from development officer to chief executive officer.
Kola fanang ila pala so ya wato men ke Birkama Area Council kabo development officer makamoto fo wato men itata ke chief executive officer ti.
We discussed the financial scam that was going on at the Birkama Area Council.
Bitung tapalaya men bekeri nun na flota mandola karola Birkama Area Council ngo fanang kacha.
And how this was actually uncovered by the audit report as well as yourself during your investigations.
Hanin wo tapale fanang anata wanyari nyadi le ite fangola kungola kisikisiro kan aning birin kontibola lu fanal nata yela kontiboke ifanal nata kukilingo nyim wanyari.
And we would just like to make it clear that this is your version of events.
Mbe nyin senen la ko bitung itela yitandiro itela sedearo wolem nyin donti.
And although it is to provide context as to what happened to you,
our main
focus is really the human rights violations that you suffered.
And
this is what we started with at the NIA office. What happened to you? You told us that you spent a period of a month at the NIA office after you were terminated. I would like you now to focus on the particular human rights violations that you suffered during that 1 month period, and if you witnessed any other human rights violations on other people.
Hadamaya nyanta tinyalu menu ketete laje aning misal kama nina tabodo kalama yemen sede ya men keta dolu laje fo isi wo banke no mfanali janga kulonje.
If we may proceed by just telling us what happened on that day after you were handed over the termination letter and you went back to the NIA, did anything significant happen on that day or the next?
Between silamba folola damen wolem biri ila bondi letero di la foka pare inata murundi NIA ye sindije silang fo wolungo mune nata kela wolungo fongo wala asamo fo kuketa la jela bang.
Thank you very much.
Inimbarabake.
Well, during our period of detention,
na muto wiche okono,
and indeed, of course, we were detained upstairs in the conference room.
Andu inatantelu sindi ila bembungo le kono santo ikafadame conference room.
where you have sofa chairs.
Damen ñi sirangol lebije men keta ñi siran jangluti.
The conference table.
Aning ila kacha ila beng ika beng ke table ba mento.
Furnished with air condition.
Adunje bunkono sumayandirango bije.
And also with a toilet facility.
Andung bantato tarango fanam bije.
We spend the whole month over there.
Nga karomu me obeke waleto.
You're explaining very comfortable conditions of detention, unlike some of the witnesses that we have had here at the TRRC. Do you know what was the reason for that?
Bitunga munta itela taro wuje okonoje, amunta itata daha ba konoje. Men nindolu fatata, men ya lonko ye ulu mutaje ye menke ulu la unite ta fatata. Fo yalo ne dalilo me ya kendi ititata udaha kono?
Well, everything that happens to a human being is the decision of God.
Hadamadin ko kundin kitala isalon ko Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala la kitolem.
Meaning that I was exonerated by God.
Amunta wolem nyinti ko Allah ta'ala fangole yate seneyandi.
To be deprived from, to be tortured.
Wolem atankata tajireya maka mutaka tajireya.
Or harsh interrogation.
Walla nyininkar dimindingulu.
Because it was a premeditated plan, as I mentioned before.
Katu menketa la munta mulle sita ya ferocity ate kamma jamfale mu kaya funu nyami.
Just to remove me from the office.
Danko doro ya te bu jenkendi ka bondi office o nyinto.
To reinstate my predecessor.
Puru ate saita men noto puru isio murundi na nyaming.
Mr. Jammeh, we understand that you did not go through any harsh conditions of detention like torture or harsh interrogation techniques. But can you tell us whether or not you were detained incommunicado? Were you allowed visitors from your family? Did you have the right to a lawyer, for example?
Mr. Jammeh nga lonko to nya ebe muto kono wato men itata daha kono je imang ku kolel laikang imang nyininkar kolem fanan laikang. Bari bitu ila muto kono fodum ila muto keta dewoleti amunta ni mo buka nyomoyi ini ila dimbaya lu nimbari lu buka nyomoyi fodum fanan ina ta silo sotole pour loyasi ini loyasi dia mo men siloyi foyo lu sotole ba.
That's correct.
Omuto nyalti.
I was deprived from seeing my family.
Yembali na dimbaya lu jela.
Although I was accommodated hospitality like food from their own restaurant over there.
Wonyawnyandinde ye baluo dinnale baluo domoro me yalonka bote fongol la domori dada dulal toje.
But I made inquiries why we were detained here.
Ngani ninkaro ke munana yenteli sindi jang.
They said we don't have any charges against you.
Iko man tumiri soto ite kama.
But we were acting upon orders.
Bari amunta ye kango men din tolula mbetama kangolela.
From the State House.
Membota bumbato.
So therefore your right to liberty was actually restrained.
Yes, it was.
Munta ila nyanto puru ila taram fambulo amunta yole taibulo.
Your rights were being violated even though, I mean, the right procedure was not being followed.
Amunta yela nyanto lutinya katu imantara imata mandini silala menning nyanto tata nyola.
That's correct.
Umuto nyalte.
You were not charged for any particular offense.
Imetu me kuruyawo kuruyala.
No, sir.
And as far as you were concerned, do you know if there was an order for your detention at the NIA?
Fo etela londo to ya kangole di tolu la puri yete sindi NIA je bang?
Yes.
And lawful order. Was there any lawful order for your detention there?
Fo dung ilete sindo je NIA je wonya fani luwa tata nyola.
No, it was an unlawful detention.
Ani luwa manta nyola.
And you've already told us that you were detained at the order of the President's office, which were executive orders.
Andu ya nyumfanya nefaka pareko ye ite sindi je kangole kam mem bota bumbato me yalon ko ka fole executive order wolem kunton kola kangoti.
According to the revelations from the former Director General of NIA, Daba Marena.
Amunta ko Mem Director General Tinu Wotembo NIA ko ayaita ndinyaming ikafome Mr. Daba Marena.
And as far as you were concerned, even if your detention was lawful, do you know if the NIA was actually a proper place for your detention then?
misali kam hanatara ile sindoje ke muta hannin ayatara anin luwa tata nyola bari enay ela wo dinkirato fo jelom dinkirati nyante te sin la damen nin luwa le yaf.
No, because I was like, it's a God-given privilege that one of them told me, you are lucky to be here under this hospitality, but the rest of other civil servants will be directly sent to mile 2.
Ako mo sotonta men kayan ko alala makoyro na la hinno kan mo sotonta men ya fayen ko ite mantale benteye ye tarandi jang bari man sakunda do kula dolu ni wolulle munun e kawlu ki jama ke samba mile tule.
And during the period of detention,
andum muto wuchew nyin kono
one of the deputy operations manager, Babukar Jallo,
ikafome Babukar Jallo me alonko atebe molle kono menu operations manager no lankoti
invited myself and the chairperson
ayente fango kundingo ning sirantio nyin bunya kumandi
to his office.
Ala office oto.
He said, anyway, I want to launch an investigation into your petition.
Akayen ko sain lafta kule datila wolem kisikisiroti ite yo kuma kangolu menu safenun ke la lodula nin kolu itandi menu be kering lafta o kole kisikisila.
Can you guide me to give me list of names whom I'll be able to contact at the Brikama Area Council?
Fo isi tolu dinon telale tolu meni alon ko sibula wulu noma nyanta menu nyininkala kolu anyala Brikama Area Council je.
I said to him, look, it's open to you. Because I wrote this petition to the executive. And I received no response. So I will not be in the position to give you any names.
So the NIA were attempting to launch an investigation into this matter after you were detained.
Yes, correct.
Do you know if any interrogations were made?
Yes, indeed. Mr. Jallo,
Mr.
Babukar Jallo.
Mr. Babukar Jallo
invited Fafa Kuyate.
Fafa Kuyate Kumandi,
the former director of finance.
Me yalon katele martanu na fulola director of finance wotumo Brikama Area Council.
And in our midst, in our presence,
andum fangolu nyala,
he was asked the question
ya nyininka
whether he has any knowledge about the missing ledger book.
Fodum buko me yalon ko kolu menu sotonta na fulolu menu wala na fulo men kensunda bes anyanta safela buko membala me yalon ko buko silang amanje faye londi soto akoto le bang.
In our presence, he replied negative.
Mfango nyala je ala jabiro keta nyineti ko hani.
Mr. Jammeh, I just want to clarify as for your statement whether you're referring to the Director of Finance or the Revenue Collector.
The Director of Finance, the former Director of Finance.
Memo saferlalo kuolu safelati ba mfo memmartana flow fongola bari sedo ko memmartana flow fongola wolem Director of Finance.
Okay, kindly proceed.
Tenteng.
When he was invited, he left the room together with Babukar Jallo left the room together with Fafa Kuyate into another room.
Bitum biringo botala Fafa Kuyate ate fongani Babukar Jallo botan tel fewo bungo kono itata dum bundo kono.
Just so to remind you, the ledger book, as you said, was where all the unauthorized revenue that was being collected was recorded.
Exactly.
Ke hakilo bulandi wal ledger book wala mu bukoti wala kitabu me yalonko na fulo membebe kensun kanun kenye wafo la karola anyanta safela o buko lebala.
And which was not part of the formal budget of the Brikama Area Council.
Me yalonko amantara num Brikama Area Council la fansum malankun na fulo kono.
The ledger book entails all income revenues collected.
Ledger buko nying wo kitabo
So this was
area council keta namo leta ni soto fengulu kotengulu abenyanta safela obuko lebala.
So this was quite vital evidence implicating those who were involved in this scam.
Exactly.
Amunta nyimuse de koy baleti kamolu kalami me yalonko wolle dabe o tapale akotonu sedo ko ha.
Please go ahead.
Tenteng.
Then we had a loud scream.
Bitum otumole na taw wuriba moyje.
Not once, not twice.
Kilinte fulate.
Almost 3 times.
Abita fosinya sabanyong.
I can recall.
Hakilo be memma.
Then they came out.
Bari brief inditanang.
Then Babakar Jallow told me,
Utumole Babakar Jallow inyum fanyenko.
I still have to invite the secretaries.
Before we move on to the secretaries, Mr. Jammeh, can you tell us why there was a loud scream from your Director of Finance?
Mr. Jammeh Janningata mune akendi o wuriba sotonta kabo alamu bulumem ketana fulo mar latino tembo.
And did you see what was happening at the time?
Fodun yajele ni wotumo membe ke kambang.
Well, you have 2 rooms.
Je bunkono fulale biji.
Where you have the reception.
Dame kamolu bentun dame reception.
And you have another room behind it.
Bundo fanam bije membe wokoma.
Where you have entrance door.
Dame dunda bunda beje oto fanang.
So it's invincible to see what is happening inside there.
Woto nimmolu dunda woto membe ke kanje itaje nola.
But when they came out,
bar brief intitanang.
As I really suspected, there was electrocution that took place.
How did you come to that conclusion?
Because I didn't hear anything like flapping or beating or that sort of thing. It was just a white scream. Because if there was beating, obviously, you will be able to hear it.
So you just assumed that it was electrocution, but you did not see it happening?
No, I didn't see it happening.
But something was used to cause or inflict pain and suffering on him that caused him to scream. And can you just confirm that it was Babakar Jallow who was in the room with him at the time?
Yes, I can confirm that.
As far as you told us, he left the room with him and the next thing you heard was a loud scream.
Yeah.
And was it Babakar Jallow who escorted him back to the room you were in?
Yes.
More importantly, tell us about this ledger book, because he was asked about the book and what was his response initially before he was taken into the room where you heard him screaming.
Menkumayata ledger book kita amunta na fulolu nyanta safela menkono. Wo biriya nyininka atela jabiro keta muneti janibe bolaje pour kata wo bundo kono wuro ko mata dame.
He responded negative.
Ala jabiro keta menti wala kama fellong
of not knowing how the ledger book was missing.
Amalong buko nyi yemanta nyami.
And when he came back into the room, did he still maintain his position?
Biramuru tanam bunga nyinkono ayo kuma kilimule fo bang.
No, it was Babakar Jallow who disclosed to us that anyway, the ledger book, we know where it is now.
Babakar Jallow le ya fonto le saying ledger book nying ngalon na be damen saying.
Do you know where he got that information from?
Yalon na yo kibaro soto damen bang.
Like they left the room where the screaming was taking place.
Abako itelle fintita bungo kono nganyi wuri kama moy itata bungo men kono.
So that's the way I know that the ledger book has been disclosed by Mr. Kuyate, where it is kept.
Wo bri muruta nang aya fako sila ye buko dula lonne woto wala nan sobita ko woto wo wuro kuma tadamen kuma fota jele buko dali buko be damen alonta.
And can you confirm whether this disclosure was made after whatever was inflicted on him, causing him to scream, was done?
Fodung inat aya lonna banko alo wuro men ketala hanfo a wurita biro ketalo nganata buko nyi na kalang fo bang.
Exactly, yes.
Ha ye wolem.
So tell us what happened then.
Afanyen sila mune natake.
And Babukar informed me, anyway, I will have to call at least 1 or 2 secretaries, and we will also consult one of the councillors, as well as one senior revenue collector.
Babukar nata nyimfonyan ko ha silande mbewo kila kulu kilim fula nyong kumandila lenge nyininka menno keta safer lalti andu wokola fanang aseke nga kansilo fanang kumandinang kiling kansilo kiling me yalon ko isina ye kuma fonye nyin poto.
Do you know whether the ledger book was actually found and where it was found?
Fo inata lon ne tonya inata kitabo nyinjele wo ledger buko aning inata jamintole.
It was found in the reception where the secretaries sit.
Inata tara molu jia molu bentundulal to ka molu jia ndidame ni safer lalu secretary lu kasidame.
In what particular location are you referring to?
Ibe dinkiraju male klim mateng.
That is the office before you enter the CEO's office.
Ikadung office men kono janni be dun na kuntonkola office kono memu CEO la office.
That's at the Birkama Area Council.
At the Birkama.
Well, Birkama Area Council ti sedo ko ha Birkama Area Council je.
And it was revealed to me that it was found under the carpet.
Andu yo nyina fonyen ko ya tara tapeo nyinne koto carpeto nyinne koto.
And can you tell us, Mr. Jammeh, whether this is the usual place that you would keep your documents and files at the Birkama Area Council under the carpet?
Fodu sinyum fono nyina Mr. Jammeh. Fodu jelo mu dinkirati nyimbuku façon lu nyanta mabola daming Birkama Area Council ye.
No, it's not normal.
Hani wamanyanke amanke anyama.
And do you know why that was done in this particular instance?
It's because when these people were dismissed,
the
finance director and the CEO,
CEO,
they want to make sure that they, how do you call it, they keep away.
They were covering up their activities. Is that what you're trying to say?
Every expenditure or every income is supposed to be entered in that ledger book. This was why when they were dismissed, they had to keep this. So that's the main reason why Mr. Jallo, Babukar Jallo,
Mr. Jallo, Babukar Jallo,
he said, I will pursue this matter at the area council itself. Because this man has just disclosed to me that where the ledger book is kept.
There
was a time he invited the secretaries. In fact, one of them was just babysitting at the time. When he reported to NIA, they wanted to detain them there. I said to Babukar, it doesn't make sense because this woman is suckling her baby.
Nkae Babukar, watakela kulu Kenyati, katu nyimuso dena ni merengole babula bemen susundi kang.
Just, if you have the chance, just simply visit the scene and then let them show you where the ledger book was kept.
Ni sabendino, ta dinkira nyimfango kumpabo, buko nyimfango be mabori ndami, itelisije itandino ila.
And exactly that's what he did.
Andu ngafana yoleke.
So when it was retrieved,
biri na atanyim buko soto ibulola atakang.
Oh my God, what I found in that book. The ledger book, annually, it should be closed. So that you will be able to project income or actuals,
men duntana wala men sotonta do ko buchew nyin kono
and the expenditure.
Aning men fananata bo kono to ka dépense ka finti banta.
if that book is not available during budget session,
ni o buko mantara buluto wato men ibe malankunna fulo nyin kumbenna
or any information concerning the income and the expenditure,
walla kibar wo kibar men denta soto bulo la men ka dum anin kodo men ka dépense ka finti,
it will be a ghost budgeting.
amunta abekela malankunna fulu kensunguleti men ya lonko membe folaje atetarla caring.
So there was no proper reconciliation of accounts, basically, that happened at the end of each year.
Exactly.
Amunta sango bandulato konto nyanta sahala nyamen kasafe kala ko nyinni na keta abukake ya nyama sedo ko ha.
And this was a deliberate act, obviously, on the side of the finance director and other officials at the Birkama Area Council.
Exactly.
Amunta womuta untea leti na fulo maralala karola aning atenim menu be ko nyin kono Birkama Area Council je sedo ko ha.
To hide the actual events that were happening in relation to the financial situation there.
Exactly.
Bruka kuolu mabo ke nung na fulo tamandinya membe ke kang Area Council je wotumo.
Mr. Jammeh, I think we've received enough evidence surrounding the book and the financial fraud.
Ani Mr. Jammeh ngamira silang ngasiede koyo soto ne buko nyin na karola anin kukurungulu membe tamakanji.
As I said earlier, I really want us to focus on the human rights violation that occurred.
Ko ngafunu komantunu nyame lefta silang nga nyatiling hadama ya nyanta tinyalula menu ketanunji.
You have already told us that your liberty, basically, your right to liberty was violated.
Yenyum fonyanko ila taram fambulo wode amunta yewo nyanto tinyale.
Because the right procedure was not applied as to you being detained there.
Katu imantani silola pruke te muta ke sindije ye sindije ke muta je nyaming aning silo mantanyola.
You were not charged for any offense.
Imetu mi kukuru na kafu yenyineke.
And there was no order, lawful order for your detention there.
Adum lua la kamman soto meya foko enyante te sindila jele lua la karola.
You were also kept incommunicado and you were not able to communicate with your family or your lawyer.
Andung inate mutaje ye dendi katu inila dimbayalu nimbadi ngulubu kanyo jeno kanyo moy andung inil lawyer fanamang nyomoy no.
And it's clear that the 1 month period that you were detained there was far in excess of the constitutional time limit.
Amunta ye wato menke ke sindi o dinkirato na bankola mararo sarti bukuba me ka fa constitution woyeme yitandi boni o sartol fatatal.
You have also told us about the treatment that Fafa Kuyate received at the hands of NIA officers, in particular Babukar Jallo.
Yenyum fanam fo nyenne menketa Fafa Kuyate la je ya ala kulu tamandi nyamin je Babukar Jallo la karola.
And although you've told us that you were not in the room when what was being done to him was being done to him, but after he left the room,
ye bitun fana yitandile ko ifama mantara sedearinde kenela bungonyin kono kuketa la damin bari bitun ko la biri botananje.
he made a confession which he had previously denied.
Anata lo katonya fo kakuma fo abalanta memfola num foloto.
Which, according to you, implies that something was done to change his mind.
Amunta wenyine itandiko ye kule kala menata sababu hanfo ayele mata anata kumadofo.
Can you tell us whether any of the secretaries or any other official of the Birkame Area Council who was interrogated during the course of investigations was detained, or any other human rights violations occurred in relation to them?
Fo esinyim fanam fo no nyele Birkama Area Council lawdo kulalu menu ye nati je fo motarte kono le bang ye menu muta je wala fo kusi kela ila otaro wuche kono birina ye nati NIA.
Well, I stood to defend their detention.
Ntede ngamen kata wole mlota ka nying fo manyeng na imutalaje.
Just kindly tell us whether they were detained or not.
Fanyem fo ye mutajele bang fo ime mutaje.
Well, for some of them, they were detained from morning up to evening time.
Dolubije ye tinyandije le kabosomanda kata hanfo uraro
and released.
Ina tebula.
Upon my appeal.
Na daniro kang.
But none of them spent the night there.
Bari council kai fo momela ikonoje.
No.
Sedo ko hani momela je.
Do you know if any other human rights violations occurred? Were they beaten or anything?
Fo ibota nyin kalama ko hadama ya nyanta tinya do kel jele Membe ko liparo wala kudo.
Yes, I witnessed one.
Ha ngakilin sedea.
Kindly tell us.
Ofonyeng.
The day we were released
Lumme yembula.
after the month's detention,
Bring a curriculum muto kije fukapare.
I was just passing by the corridor to the operations manager's office.
Mbetambi kang sila jenjengo kang membe operations manager la office jenjengo la je.
That's Demba Sow.
Demba Sow, exactly.
Walem Demba Sow ti ha sedo ko ha Demba Sow.
It's just adjacent, you have a cell.
Bitu je tilinyala selo do fanambe woto.
I noted my younger brother.
Nganyinje ko ndoma.
We come from, of course, it's my father's younger brother who gave birth to him.
Amunta mfama doma dingole muwoti.
He just called me.
Ayonkumandi.
Brother, please, can you help me?
Ayonkumandi akonye nkoto ko imma koy.
I said, what are you finding here?
Nkaye kamune kijang.
He said, I was detained here for almost a week.
Ako akaye yemuta janne membita hanfo lokung.
Look at my face, it's swollen.
Akaye nyada jube abebe funuring.
Look at my back.
Akaye nko jube.
It's all lacerated with whips.
Abebe faramfarandi mbuter danolu yang karawasi damenuto.
I asked him, what have you done?
Nganyininka ite yemuneke.
He told me, anyway, it's about land problem.
Ako ha aketamenti wale keta banku kene kuolemu.
I sold land to someone, my father's land.
Mfama la banku keno nga wafi molema.
And another person came to claim that.
Adu modo fananata ulina menko ateleta mu ototi.
Perhaps he's a wealthy person.
Atu fankamale mu.
That that land was sold to him.
Ko wala sabu yo banku keno wafi atema.
So this was in relation to a civil issue.
Yes.
Amunta nyindomu kudo leti.
And as far as you know, do the NIA have jurisdiction to deal with civil issues?
Fodung NIA itela londo to fo hadama dingulu dam mangulu tema itele ku soto ngotole bang.
It should not have been so.
Amanyan na kela wonya.
And as a result, his human rights were violated by being beaten.
Exactly.
To kamala ya la hadama ya nyanto tinya katu ya mutale ya lipa ka tajire ya.
But of course, this had nothing to do with your case. It was a separate matter.
Bari bitu nyindomu kudo leti afaye anitela kuwa nyo soto femfena.
It's just it's a sin oversight.
Amunta drongi nya msede atamennalom dronga menjije.
And is it correct that you were detained with your chairman?
Fodun to nyalom inila chairman o yalibele mutanyola je.
3 of us were detained. Myself, the commissioner, the chairperson.
Mosabale yentel mosabale mutajente commissioner anin chairperson sirantio nyimfa chairman.
Commissioner was released 3 nights, after 3 nights.
But commissioner nying yo bulabrate suto sabakije.
That he was direct, according to Daba, I was just following them on the path.
Ko Daba ya fanya mbe komale mbe bulakang inoma silo nyinkang.
In Mandinka, anyway, I have been directed by the Bumbato to release you.
Ngamwe ba flying ko Bumbato ye kango dinna membote je purungete bula.
Of course, I show him shed tears.
Ngaje akumbota nyaji ulubota.
I only had to comport him.
Ngakata puruka juso nyabu.
And that was Abdubaji.
Abdubaji, yes.
Wolem Abdubaji ti ha.
Did anything happen to him as far as you know?
Fo kuketa le bang itela londoto.
Nothing, absolutely.
Fem mankala.
Apart from his detention?
Na mankala mutoti.
Nothing, absolutely.
Pu mankala.
What about the chairman?
Chairman odum.
Same.
O nyam fanang at nyakili mulem.
How long was he detained for?
Ate wati jelle kije.
He was detained the same date, the same period with me.
Na be wati kilingole kije yem mutalung kilin bitumbe wati kilingole kije.
As far as you know, did anything happen to him?
Ila londoto fo kuketa fanan na le bang.
Well, I only observed that he was not happy.
Na koro sikuda latela karola amantara se worrying.
Because last time I sighted him stood by the window.
Katu wati sotonta ngaje ko alota palantero to.
Overlooking the ocean.
Abe fanka soma fango jube kang.
I inquired from him, what are you thinking of?
Nga nyininka nkaye ke mira minela.
He said, well, I have a small child who is very much fond of me.
Ako dindimbe mbulu dindindingu me yalonko adalitan na bake.
Then he shed tears. that he has no knowledge where I am today.
And how did you feel being within the premises of the NIA, especially in relation to some of the torture that you witnessed and heard?
Saying ite yo je nyadile yata nyadile katara NIA la sansango konoje inata tajire yalu menu jije.
It is a violation of human rights.
Hadama ya janta tinyalemu.
It's also through gross wickedness.
Andung wofanamu ngania jawyaleti.
And it is also lack of good leadership.
Amunta nyatonka ya kende fanante kerinu.
At any point, did you fear for your own safety or your life?
Fuwati sotontale isilanta ifango la tankadala wala isilata puru ifango niola kuola.
Well, I maintain my brief, my how do you call it? I maintain my to be brief.
But what were you really feeling inside?
That I have done nothing. Obviously, I only pray to God to protect me. That's the fate which actually diminishes all my burdens. Because I am ready to face anything for telling the truth. It is the corruption I reveal. So I will not fear anybody. I only fear God in doing my job correctly.
But as far as you knew, what was the NIA capable of doing to you or anybody else?
But itela londoto ila miroto yenyi mira NIA ko isi munkule keno itela wala isi menkeno momondina.
Well, the stories I overheard that they have been doing or they have been operating.
Ngakuma fota lu menu moy be menu ke kanung wala NIA lu kamenke nung.
Well, it's fearsome.
Asilanya wartalde.
But with my determination, it's going to be dead or alive.
What stories were you hearing? Can we be a bit more specific?
It is maiming, torture, disappearance, healing.
And of course, you experienced that personally whilst you were there.
Yes. No, it's just a concept.
I
went with the concept of faith in God. Where there is war, you don't have to interfere with the war. Prevent yourself from doing or participating in the war. That will be your fate.
And what war are you referring to, Mr. Jammeh, so that we are clear?
Mr. Jammeh
with the concept that these people, they kill, they punish, they torture.
Andung ikamolu tilimbalia ikamolu mutake tajireya ke nyimantania.
And what I was driving at was that you did experience some of the torture, for example, when you were there. Or you witnessed it, perhaps.
That's my younger brother, whose case I witnessed.
Yes. You also told us about Fafa Kuyate.
And you Fafa Kuyate fanana kumofo nyeng.
Yes, I did.
Tonya.
Thank you very much. Let's move on. You've already told us that you spent 1 month in detention, and we've highlighted all the conditions of detention that you went through. Did anything else significant happen after your detention at the NIA?
Saying atenteng menketa NIA ilamutu okulu men beketa je aning yemen je yolu be fonyenne saying. But between silang foku kumana ta sotole menketa bang wato men ibota NIA.
Yeah, we got released
Yembula
upon the information that
nyinkibaro kanko
within the precinct of NIA
la sansango konoje
that Monday morning
wotene lungu somanda
was not it wasn't calm at all.
jemanten kumfereng
There were some movements
tani nal ni mamanglu be kerinje wotumo
which I didn't come to know
me yalonko wotembo malonde
until the time we were asked to move out of the premise.
hanfo wato mengina ta fo kontel yefinti ila korda sansango nyinkono.
That's the time we went as far as with it inside a taxi
Birin tata hanfo mbotaje fondun ta taxi okono
up to Denton Bridge.
ntata fo Denton Bridge saro saloto.
I inquired from the driver, what about all these soldiers standing around here?
Na drive fo nyinenka nyin sojarol men be lorin jang mune be kering.
He said there was an aborted coup.
Ako coup d'etat bayri ngole sotontanu.
Then that's the time I realized
Wotumo len nata akorosiko
when what so told me
between soya mem fo nyenung
there is a little bit of movement in that NIA premise.
ila sansango konoje teng mango be ke kanje wotumo.
Something is in the cooking.
Adung kube tabikang wotumo.
Which abortive coup are you referring to?
Ibe coup d'etat bayri njumalama Ndur Cham.
So at that point, the NIA really had bigger fish to fry, so they had to get you out of there to make room for.
Exactly.
Amunta wotembo NIA ule nyeba soto ibe mem fraila. Bitunga munta wole mu iko mbatunga nyindonu bula.
Mr. Interpreter, I'm wondering what interpretation that was.
There was a big fish for them to fry.
I'm not too sure if that is the interpretation I need. And you use the word fry.
Yeah, because you said fry. In Mandinka, they use fry, the same word, kajani. But janiro also can be two-way. Janiro can be something to be put directly in the fire on the embers, which is different from frying, because frying, you fry with oil.
But you do understand that there were no fishes being fried at the
No, but this is a saying. It's a proverb.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. I'm sure, hopefully, the witness understands.
He understands, because he understands Mandinka very well.
Thank you very much.
Minumbara.
All right, Mr. Jammeh, so after that, you were released and you had gone.
Yeah.
What else happened to you, if anything?
Sa mbiro be keta ya libula alibotaje alitata fobe kola kuna takele menkete labang.
Just keep in mind in relation to human rights violations that you may have suffered.
Wala mnyintidoro hakilolo hadamaya nyanta tinyalu kamenu boite tekang.
I remember that, of course, my human rights was violated.
Hakilo ya jeko ye na hadamaya nyanto tinyale de.
My rights in the constitution.
Ko bankola maral sarti bukuba ya afanya men constitutional.
Removal of a public servant.
Kamo bondi ala do ko to man sakunda do kula ka bondi anoto.
Likewise, the local government act as well, 2002.
Ko na man sakunda ringulu fana la loi ya afanya men lota 2002.
That a CEO can only be removed.
Ko CEO membe palaso to isa bondi no nyamemma
by the recommendation of the Local Service Commission.
Walem local service, walem na bundala do kulala alfa kafo, wala ya maro drone sa mari bondino.
So you were saying your termination was unlawful?
It was unlawful.
Walem nyinti ko ye baylu ko la nyaming aniluwa manta.
Did you do anything in relation to that? Did you make any claims anywhere?
Fo yefe ye kutamandile wo koto bang wala ye kanindiro ke dulato ko ye mbondi do ko la nyaming aniluwa manta.
Yes, it was later I went back to NIA again
to
inquire whether there were any charges levied against us. Because by then I had what you call certificate of character.
Certificate of character.
This is what I want to struggle to vanguard as what you call a protection of my human rights.
But
The acting director by then,
Otumo director yabe karafari memma otumo. Bobaji.
He checked through the computer.
La computer kono jibe.
He said to me, "I'm sorry, there is no trace."
Ako nyango otumo le se haketu. Mam femfen jijang
of your detention here.
Purka foko yete muta janne ma kibar wo kibar jijang.
Then I went again.
Kote ke murutan tata.
Inform my lawyer about this case.
Nan nyin kibaro fonna lawyer ye.
I said to him, anyway, I have to pursue this matter.
Nkae aketa nyawnyandi nyama mbe nyin ko normalale.
My human rights is violated.
Katu ye na hadama ya nyanto tinyale.
They went against the constitutional clause.
Ye banko fana na marale buko la sarto tinya.
And they also acted against the Local Government Act 2002.
Andu masakundari ngulu la lua ye melondi 2002 yo lua fana tinyale.
And did he do anything in particular?
For ay ku soto na te fana ye menta mandi menkete la loyate.
Yes, he took the matter to High Court.
Ay ko nyin samba High Court kiti bunda banyina.
Of course, you have already supplied to us the documentation that he filed, which was a writ of summons.
Amunta ye kaito dinnale ate ye men dundije me yalon ko musamaneri kaito leti.
Which was filed on the 27th.
Me yalon ko karotil mu anen worowlole mo ya dundi.
Of March 2007.
March karo kono 2007.
Correct.
Tonya.
The civil suit number is HC 09107MF033H.
Yo, bitung ala dundan kaito la nombal mu wolete.
And Mr. Chairman, we would like to enter this writ of summons into the record as Exhibit 168D.
Request granted, Counsel.
Yeah, thank you very much. Can you just tell us, without going into the details of this case, what eventually happened? What were the findings? Did it conclude, for example?
Saying, hanni ma jamfandi barbitum, nyinkobe lanya atamata nyaming, hanfo alabang nata ke nyaming, wo fonyeng aketa nyaming.
Well, at the first hearing,
sila follow mendata kitola,
the judge, Hadi Roche,
memu jojo kitir tamandila nying Hadi Roche,
made an order.
Ay kangolondi,
let the two parties
ko nying karafulolu
find an amicable resolution.
Isi fero nyining, ibe nying kumo kumfala nyaming bunyaning horomo kono.
That is the compromise.
Wale mpurka kataka kambeng.
That was about almost 2 weeks before the second hearing. And the second hearing, the state appealed that the High Court does not have the jurisdiction for that case. And therefore, they are appealing to the Court of Appeal.
Woto saying ibedaniro kela purka samba kiti saying kambunda la kafdame Court of Appeal.
And the judge informed me.
Andun jojo membije wenyin kibaro fonye ko.
Court of Appeal is a superior court to High Court.
Kiti saying kambunda nying Court of Appeal wolem kiti bundati men's la kolu seleta santo katambito lula.
So we will make what you call stay of proceedings. So that's the end of the case at the High Court.
So as far as you're concerned, after the state filed an appeal and there was a stay of proceedings ordered by the judge, nothing came out of the case. So the case is still hanging, so to speak, as we...
Bring High Court ye kolu londi wonya iko silang nga nying kolu londi folo wairi ko bitala kiti sain kambunda ba nyina amonta kolu tutu talarin wole to fo nyin tembeng kumanna keke kumanna boje kumanna tamaje.
Yes, Counsel, up to date.
Sedo ko ha aketa wole nyama fokata bula bila.
And did anything else happen during the pending of this case? Did anything happen to you in particular?
For itafango kungo fo kusotontale mensi kela bang nyinkolu kono kito tumo fo wato membe kito denna fo katabula bila fo kumankela.
Yeah, a year after,
sanji kilin kolu kola
I was invited to deliver lectures at the International Federation for Housing and Planning Conference in Liverpool.
Inatan kumandi bento menketa Liverpool sate oto obe Angleterre bank wala kampurungata diamu bento me ya lonko atilinta molu sidulal nin taradulalu Kenya lela anim bunkolu lanya wobengo nyanta diamu laji.
Because I'm a member of that professional global body.
Katu ndefana mo kafudingo leti wololna la o dunia kafuba nyinkono.
On the day of my departure,
lumme nyanta banko bula la kata,
just about to make what you call how to say it again, just to check in time.
Wato menteli nyanta wuli la purka bula kulunti la kono.
Check in time.
Check wato men nyanta dunna purka tasi ka kulunti la wato batu.
I went on a shopping spree to this place, Serekunda.
Ndata fensango la Serekunda.
To buy at least containers like suitcase.
That was before you checked in, right?
Yes, before I checked in.
Okay.
Just at my gate of my compound, I found a police car there. And they told me that you are wanted at Banjul police station. Then I was with my son. We boarded together the vehicle. Instead of Banjul, they drove us back to Brikama headquarters. Police station. And after a while, they said, anyway, we now have to take you to Banjul. We went to Banjul. And just, I think it was at the dawn of closing time, 4 o'clock. We met just at the entrance of Banjul police station. One officer called Ensa Baji, Jesus. They saluted him. Those were my escorters. They saluted him. Do
you remember who were your escorting officers?
Well, it's a long time. I cannot even recognize them today. They were 2 in number.
But they were police officers?
Yes, they are police officers working at plain clothes.
And what about Ensa Baji? What position did he hold then?
It was later I came to understand that he was the commander of the serious crime unit.
Serious crimes unit
So he directed them to take me to the station itself.
On arrival
at the station, we found one Sergeant Ba. They saluted him and told him that we are asked to bring this man here. Sergeant Ba told them, anyway, I have no record of this man's name in the diary.
Sergeant Ba ko nyin to tente bulunna buko kono jande diary kan ka police lukela ko safe dame.
So it was a big of argument between them.
Amunda natake nyo sosoti wala nyo sabati da manglu tema.
Then he decided to call his station officer.
Bitung atefana yala nyaton ko kumandi memmarta station officer.
They just went on a corner side and then came back to me again at the counter.
Itata dende da manglu kullota inata murunnan kantara konti waro bala.
Then Sergeant Ba told me,
Sergeant Ba ko nyenko,
anyway, I have to keep you here until, my boss said I should keep you here until Monday.
Ko na nyaton ko nge muta jang hanu fo tenengo.
Can you tell us the cumulative period you spent at the Banjul police station?
Afonye yewati jelle ke Banjul police station otoji.
6 nights.
Tili woro, suto woro mbije.
And were you, sorry, in cell?
In the compacted cell.
Selo fongo kono de.
About 12 people.
Nimmo tan nimfula.
Tell us about the conditions of detention there.
Mo muto mo yemenu mutaje akobe nyadile ku akoleata la fa be nyadile.
There was one concrete platform.
Amunta platform bija amunta molu la taradula amunta jemu concrete quality.
That was where I was welcomed by my host. Those are the detainees.
Amunta yendefana mbentu njele njiati olu yemenu mutaje ulu yafanali yembendu obungule kono.
Because the other one who led us in the prayers,
Katudo mentambita nyato saliwato la.
he was called Lamin Jammeh.
Ikafaine Ansumana Jammeh.
I inquired from him why he was here.
Nganyinka muna na fanambiji.
He said, well, I was brought here 1 year, 7 months.
Akoya anati jai sanji killing kari woro wula kiji.
And which Ansumana Jammeh are you referring to?
Itebe Ansumana Jammeh jumalema.
Well, he told me his name is Ansumana Jammeh.
I memfonye kato mu Ansumana Jammeh leti.
He was detained there for at least 1 year, 7 months.
Andu ya mutaje ay sanji killing kari woro wula kiji.
Do you know who he was?
Yalo ne jumalema woti.
He said he has a motor bicycle.
Akoma simale babulu motorcycle.
And he was alleged
Andu ye nyino fo atemako.
to plant what you call a juju.
Ko asita safeo kedulato.
Yaya Jammeh's garden.
Yaya Jammeh la nako kono.
Is he the same Ansumana Jammeh that is a relative of Yaya Jammeh?
No.
Fo ani wala mo Ansumana Jammeh ti yaya badi mo sedo ko hani.
So the other person who, I think he came here to testify,
Do nyi ngamira ofone ne nata sede yaro la janne.
is called, I think, Ibu Jaju.
Ngamira ka fainde Ibu Jaju.
He was a steward to Yaya Jammeh.
Atemu Yaya Jammeh la amunta balu topoto lalti.
I inquired from him for why he's detained there.
Ngafana nyininka abe munalaje.
He said, I was put here, I'm here almost for 8 months.
Akaya karisa ikijele.
Incommunicado, of course.
Andu afanandinga badi mbuka diamu ani mbuka nyoje.
I was alleged to poison the president because I was his steward to be serving him.
Awaira ateleka president la baluwo da wala do morifengolu ya tu minyin la ko ate lafta president poison la nu kaposino kala do moroto.
So Monday morning,
Tene lungu sumanda.
I was escorted upstairs.
Yendandan kasele bunjango santo.
Serious crime unit.
Ilawo ku kolengulu bundala.
And I was shown a letter from the office of the president.
Ye letero itanna membo ta president la office oto.
That I wrote to the president
Kon ntelenga letero safe ka ki president ye.
a petition.
Memu petition ti wala mu ka kangolu fae.
It's the same petition
Wala mu kaiti kilingoti.
which was submitted at the High Court,
Me ya lonko ye wala fintindi kiti bunda ba nyina ka fula me high court.
which I was claiming for unlawful termination,
Dame ngasa fe ko yembay do ko la le menni sartolu mantanyola.
unlawful detention,
Andu yemuta kan sindi dula killing menni luwa mantanyola.
and unlawful arrest.
Andu yemuta nyama menni luwa mantanyola.
So the contents of the letter
Pour membe safari letero kono bo pour ka o karang
is to bring Lamin Jammeh to task.
wala pour ka Lamin Jammeh nati ka adundi kuto.
Just 3 paragraphs.
Amunta safaro borindi sabadoron ne bije.
So the Inspector Sanyang, I remember,
Kung hakilo baka nyami mo bije ka fa Inspector Sanyang
under the command of his boss, Numu Kujabi,
meya lonko abala nyaton ko la kango koto ka fa me numo kujabi
asked him to go and interrogate me.
ko wasina atente nyininka.
But I said nothing to him.
Bari mam fem fae.
Were you eventually charged with any offense?
Foi na te tumile ko nyinti nyari karileke.
Yes, they charged me giving false information to a public officer.
Yen tumi nyina la kongo kuma soto balwole fo mansakunda do kulai.
That was why I had to call my lawyer
Wala ya sabu hanufo nganna lawyer kumandi
to intervene again.
pour ay wuli ay kutamandi kotake.
But Jesus
Bari Jesus
denied me bail
abalanta pour yembel
until the intervention of my lawyer again
hanufo na lawyer wulta kotake ay kulu mamandi
with the former Deputy Commissioner, Inspector General of Police, Mr. Gay,
we hanufo we wotumo menne naketa Deputy Commissioner of Police Mr. Gay
and Commissioner Jammeh Konta,
anin Commissioner Jammeh Konta
that they met the present Interior Minister,
ko nyin tembeng inimmo bentame yalon ko wolem Interior Minister ti saying
Yankuba Sonko, who granted me to be taken to court for bail.
me yalon ko ay nyin kangodi pour yen samba kiti bunda la fay simbel.
Another time, Yankuba Sonko, what was his position within the Gambia Police Force?
Wotembo Yankuba Sonko mum palace le babulu Gambia Police Force la Karola.
He was then the Commissioner of Prosecution.
Wotumo atele mu commissionati menu marta kitindiro kunyala.
And you have provided a copy of your charge sheet.
Yes, I have provided this.
Yetu mi kumakanglu men la ya kaito dinnale.
With reference number B6908.
B6908 wolemu animaro nyinti.
And it is dated May 2008.
Correct.
May 2008 sango wala be safari ngabala.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to add the said charge sheet into record. It's headed in the Banjul Magistrates Court, Inspector General of Police versus Lamin Jammeh as Exhibit 168E.
Request granted. Counsel.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. And were you eventually arraigned before any court?
Silandum foinate ilondi kiti bunda nyati mulale.
Yes, I was arraigned before BY Kamara.
Yelondi BY Kamara nyati mulale.
And he granted me bail.
Andunga yembel.
So after the bail,
Birim belo botala.
we went for the first hearing.
Ntata kito lo folola.
It was in fact a very short, how do you call it, presentation.
Amunta aketa bankeri sutuneti dorong.
Because the evidence
Katu itelie menko mengi mutako sedo momenti.
with the prosecution
Kitindirla la Karola.
that I was charged for giving false information to a public officer.
Koyo ntumi kuma sotobali fole la ka kuma sotobalo di mansakunda doku lala.
Supported by the letter from the office of the president.
Meya lonko menketa wo bambandrilati wole mo letter oti member the president la office oto.
Can you just help us understand what false information you were alleged to have supplied and to what public officer?
Afonye sai ko ite ye kuma sotobali fole kuma sotobali le fo mansakunda nkaye anin fanang yo fo jumale kliye.
It was based on the petition I wrote in 2007 to direct to the president.
Nyimbebe larin kaito le kan ngakala miro ke kaito me ngasafe ka ki president we.
About corruption
Nakaro nin tapale amembe kerin nung.
at the council.
Council bundala.
So
Did it have anything to do about your termination, your unlawful termination, that particular letter?
O letter of fire kusotole menni ila bondo keta me sababu ke ila bondo ti dokudla.
I am quite sure
Lata la ko
he was aware of it.
abota kala male.
This is why
Nyine ya sabu
they instead applied what you call abuse of court.
wala na inata tajire ya tamandi menketa kiti bunda nyimfango fanan.
What is pending at the Court of Appeal
Membe dending kiti sain kam bundala
against the state
me ya lonko ya abelorim bankole kama
is this reverse
yole yelemandi
to a lower court
kanati nan kiti bunda ndingula
on me.
ya mello lata kang.
It's the logic.
I'm not too sure if I understand what you mean, Mr. Jammeh, but I realized that there was a writ of summons, which we have already tendered into evidence,
Yes.
in which you were claiming unlawful termination by the state.
Yes.
Ma faham ba ke de la ko koto menti barbitun samaniro kaito sutun tele me ya lonko ya dundi kiti bunda la Karola.
And the charges before the court as well were in direct relation to that claim of unlawful termination
Andu
by the state.
ye tumirol mem foje wala tilinta wo kuma kangul mem fo menketa ila wo kaiti safari nyinti.
Even though you were actually acting on your constitutional rights to file a case for legal remedy from the courts, did you feel like you were being harassed and suppressed by the state?
Hanna atara ibe lorin damen holem nyinti ko ibe la nyanto le kam pour ka ila ko no masata kiti bunda la to nyakan barbitu nyinata ke kutime ya lonko ibe tumi kanke batandi la nyanto kan.
Exactly. So
Thank you very much. And you have already provided us with a letter dated the first day of March 2017, and it's titled Case Review on Wrongful Termination of Appointment, former CEO, Birkama Area Council.
Amunta silang inata kaito itandi na March karo tilifolo 2017
Yeah.
ka foko ye kuome wulindi te kama wato men ibe CEO yala Brikama Area Council.
And is this the letter you're referring to, which led to your charges?
Ninom letter oti be memma menata asabu hanu fo ye tumi.
Or was this is a different letter actually? This came in 2017.
Fonyi mu letter do leti katu nyinata 2017 sangole kono.
Do you have a copy of the letter?
I have a copy of the letter, but
Letter o be where? Shedo ka letter o babulle.
that is based on the clarion call by the president, the sitting president, those affected by Yaya Jammeh's termination, dismissal, and the removal from office.
Wo be larin kolle ka meni alonko. Ya Jammeh la mararo wuche okono ka mbondi do kola ka kangulu tamandin ka me yalonko wol bemu kuma kangul leti men butete la karola.
It's just a preview of exactly what happened to me, the ordeal that happened to me.
Amunta e me yitandi wole mantoro men la tante kungokang.
Yeah, but do you have a copy of the letter? That's what I'm asking.
Be me nyinin kaka wole mfo letro nyim a
Because
copy
I do
be
not seem to have a copy here with me.
katu do tente bulu jang.
No, it's there.
Selo ka
It's
anyanta
dated, what date?
Ninju bala be safari
I
ngabala.
can't remember because I wrote this whilst I was in the United Kingdom.
Hakilo mamuta de ngani safe wato membe United Kingdom.
Yeah, I don't seem to have a copy here with me. Perhaps we'll sort it out later.
Munta do tembulu jande bari nyato ndo asekeno nyato ndo ngabo nyoto.
Okay.
Okay. But based on this letter, you said these charges were made against you.
Yes,
Bari
exactly.
nyin letero la kuokang ya foko utum yo tumiru fasongon le foima.
And based on the claims that you had made before the High Court as well.
Exactly.
Ka foko ye kuma kango lumenu for High Court fanang.
Right.
What eventually happened in this case at the Banjul Magistrates Court?
Banjul Magistrate Court munku anata la banyadi leji.
Well, it was twisted, everything, because after the first hearing by B.Y. Kamara,
Ye kolu yele mandile ye londi kumala. Kadu brinsi follow botala B.Y. Kamara nyati
he
lingula.
asked me to report for the next hearing
Ay nyim fonye kongana ndanku si fulanjangola.
that is going to pass the ruling.
Wolunne ma anyanta kito nyintela.
So we went for that ruling,
Ntataje wolung.
but I was informed by the court scribe,
Bari safer la membe kitibula la je wenyin kibaro fonye ko.
informed me that B.Y. Kamara had been promoted as justice at the High Court.
B.Y. Kamara la palaso ya la fale sayen kitindirla le mwati High Court.
But even though his ruling is not typed,
Bari hani ofango alananta kolu kuntula dameng aman safede.
nonetheless, I will let's forward the matter to another magistrate.
Bari wonyanyandi mbe konyin tentendila kadi magistrate dola.
That was Magistrate Kayode.
Wala ikafama magistrate Kayode.
Did the case eventually come to conclusion?
Fo kito nyin nata kele hanfa na ata bambang.
It transferred from B.Y. Kamara to Kayode,
Yeah.
and from Kayode to, how do you call it, Lamin George, Penko George's son.
Ya saundile kabo B.Y. Kamara kata Kayode ya. Inata bondi Kayode ya samba Lamin Georgia. Wala mpenku George dingo.
With no end in sight.
Hani mbi mankuo dandulaje.
And within what period are we talking about that it was transferred to 3 different magistrates?
Woye wuche je leta ka sounding hanfa nyim magistrate sabobe yama.
2 weeks adjournment, 2 weeks adjournment.
Lokun fula dendiro ikawaleke.
And did you eventually do anything?
Folun kuna ata kele baite mentamandi.
Well, I only knew that it's just a waste of my time.
Ngani lonko be na wato le tinya kan dorong.
And they were trying to take a revenge.
Amunde be nyina kata kan purka ila kamfa jindinte kan.
Just to punish me
Purka kan taji kan tilimbali ya dorong.
for writing that petition,
Puru dalilo me ya sabu ngao petition o safe.
just to waste my time unnecessarily.
Kana wato tinya me ya lonko nyawnyandintala.
So the charges were not legitimate as far as you were concerned?
Amunde tumiro lumenu foema manke ku lorinti.
No, actually.
To nyala.
That was why I enclosed another, by my lead counsel, Mr. Mboj,
Wala
to
nanata
claim for
mala nanata do safer do dundi na kansule men dundi Mr. Mboj purka nyin kaning
that it was abuse of court
ko kiti bunda fango ye nyanta tinyale kije.
And to claim back for my refund of 22,000 lost air ticket.
Anim fana nga tiketo sang kuluntila tiketo sang dalasi wuli mu anim fulo menna pour ya sayima.
So this was a different suit from your suit of unlawful termination that was already pending before the High Court.
Exactly.
Munta nyindo mu kudo leti memu samanir koti menning ila kudo fatata ye bay tilimbali akame ya lonko utumo abe High Court.
Did you file this case whilst your criminal charges were still pending?
Fodun yenyin don dundile wato men ila utumir folo ki kolbelari.
Yes, it was filed.
Ha ya dundile.
It was filed against me.
Ya dundinte kama.
No, I mean your civil case that you filed.
Amunta ite ko men dundinu ila kolu kama kafo.
The one that, yes, you were asking for compensation for your air ticket. Was that filed during the pending criminal case? Or was it after?
Kodo kanin kandamin. Ya dundile bang wato men ila nyin kitidobe kilori.
No, this happened after the High Court case.
Nyinketa bring High Court kito nyimbotala.
That is why I enclosed a letter from London inviting me to attend as an international expert to deliver lectures on country planning at Liverpool.
Wala nanga letero dundi je letero me ya lonko ya safenye kabona London kambunya kumandi purungata mabe wo bengoto ngadiya mo kije yo wala nanga o letero dundi je ko wo mun sedo leti.
And we have a copy of that
invitation
letter as well as a copy of your air ticket at the time.
That's
yo
right.
ila o letero a copy bembulu janne hanila kuluntila ticket o fanan a copy bembulu jang.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to tender the said letter dated the 26th April 2008, which is headed Cultural Regeneration, the Return of the City International Federation of Housing and Planning Annual Conference, Liverpool, 1st to 2nd June 2008. And it's attached, the passenger ticket and baggage check is also attached. I would like to tender it as Exhibit 168F.
Request granted.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. And can you tell us when you filed this particular case? Because I don't have a copy of the claim here.
Yo, ila kanindiro de okaito tembulu jang. So afanyeng yadundi utuma jumale.
Which case? Sorry?
This case where you're asking for compensation of your air ticket.
Be kanindiro la damen purke la air ticket kodo jo.
That is the magistrate court.
Wala magistrate kiti
bulanya. That I was charged.
Wato men wala
giving false information.
Yentumi ko ngakuma soto balole di.
Was it within the same case?
Yeah, exactly.
Bebe kiti kulimulo kono ba ansiedo ko ha.
Because I understand that you filed a separate case, a civil case, for compensation.
Yes, kiti samari dole ke puru ise ila kodo sayima.
The case at the High Court, I was requesting by my lawyer $705,000 for damages. And the court at magistrate court
High Court wolem dalas keme worowula aning wuli keme worowula aning wuli talulu puru mantoro nin kasaro mel latankan bari nyindong membe magistrate court.
It was I claimed for $500,000 for damages.
Womu dalas wuli keme lulete puru tinyaro nin kasaro mel latankan
plus my refund for $22,000 for air ticket.
Aning inyanta mbuluma sayla menna ngadalasi wulimu anim fulo dépense kuluntila ticket o nyinkuna.
Okay, I don't want to belabor the point, but I just wanted to make a distinction between these two claims because we've already filed in evidence your claim for unlawful dismissal. Termination.
Malla fi ko mendila do rombare bitung pour que nyin dinkiralu be sene yandi kebo nyoto kulu fatanta nyamani lata nyami ila kanindirolu kono.
My understanding was that there was a subsequent claim for compensation because this happened much later after you had filed this first case at the High Court.
Exactly.
So I did not have a copy of that particular claim here before me.
You don't have it?
No, I don't. But it's okay.
I think I saw it enclosed. Where you have the charges.
It's okay, we'll sort it out, Mr. Jammeh, but I don't have it on me.
Mbabola nyotole Mr. Jammeh.
Do you remember the date?
Let
me check if I have it here.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, that's it.
All right, thank you very much. I understand what you mean. This was a motion or an application that was filed within the same criminal suit at the Banjul Magistrates Court asking for compensation.
Magistrate Court.
Magistrates Court.
Okay. And I believe this motion was subsequently dismissed. Is that correct?
No, because I absconded. Yeah, so the court didn't continue again.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to tender the said motion on notice, which is dated the 13th day of June 2008 as Exhibit 168G.
And request granted, Counsel.
Thank you very much. And can you tell us how you absconded from the jurisdiction, please?
Well, I arranged a date and I passed through the Gambia Ferry Terminal. I was then handling just a plastic handbag with my old shoe inside. But then I had to ask my son to to carry my suitcase. And that's the time I absconded through Senegal. And I was able to pay for another air ticket via Lisbon to Zurich, then to London.
Lisbon kata Zurich kata London.
Because by then my visa didn't expire. That's why I absconded.
Why did you feel the need to abscond in the middle of your criminal case?
Because I realized it was an abuse of court. It was a violation of my own human rights. And it was sheer wickedness that after removing me from my position, bring another allegation on top of which I feel is not justifiable. That is why I had to abscond.
Did you expect that justice would be done at the end of that case?
There was no justice in the Gambia at the time. Because when I returned, I made inquiries back to Banjul Magistrate Court.
Before we get there, I just want to deal with the issue of your bail, because usually in criminal cases, you are bailed.
During
and this is to secure your appearance during the course of the criminal trial. Can you tell us who bailed you in that case?
It It was my daughter who bailed me.
Ndimusole yembel.
By her ID card.
Ala ID card I am bail no wolela.
Bail bond was about 25,000.
Munta bail kodo nyin dalas wulimu anni lulu.
Did anything happen to her after you had absconded?
Birita bortaitata foku ketala le bang.
Yeah, she was warned to pay.
Ya dandala kai kodo jo.
Otherwise,
niwante
she'll be detained
iba fana mutala
and be taken to prison.
Andu iba sambala kasola.
So what happened after that warning?
Biro dandala ro botala muneketa.
Well, they have been putting surveillance.
Ye menkenu wolem katu korosiro kela ka jube.
Where even my own son was living.
Dameng hanindim ke ofanga be dameng.
So, for my daughter, she was able to secure American visa. That's the way she also absconded. But I directed her to come and pay that 25,000. And that was paid. But there was no receipt issued to her.
Before that, did anything happen to any other member of your family?
That's my son, who was struggling all along under surveillance until he was detained at NIA for at least 5 days. And he was tortured. He was released.
How old was your son at the time?
He was about 14 years. Grade 10.
Grade 10.
Then,
and what was his name?
Lamin Jammeh.
Do you know what was done to him exactly?
Torture, beating, laceration.
Yes. Do you know why this was done to him?
That you must prove to us where your father is.
And how did that make you feel as a father? That your son had to go through something like this because of you?
Actually, it was inhuman. What I did not suffer is what has been portrayed to my family. Because he was my elder son, and he was the one who escorted me to Banjul police station. So obviously, they'll just follow him up that he must produce your father.
And was he detained at the Banjul police station at the time?
The Banjul police station is about 3 days. NIA was about 5 days. All with torture.
Do you know how often they tortured him during those 5 days that he was at the NIA?
Well, for the first and second occasion, that's at NIA and at the police station, I had informations from our family members. And upon that, I also inquired from him. Until he had to send me his photograph of all the lacerations and torture that was meted on him. So he also had to abscond. Because he sold the taxi that I bought for him. Then that's the way he went by the back way. Currently now in Germany. My daughter is in USA today.
Do you remember when he was arrested and detained and tortured at the NIA?
Foi hakilo samutale wato men ya muta ka samba NIA katao tajire yalu kalaji.
I think I got information at least 2 months. 2 months when I was in UK.
Ngakarifulo ka UK tumo menalo nata kibaro moy.
Do you remember around what year that was?
Foi hakilo samuta sanjuma le moti.
I arrived in UK 15th of August 2008.
2008 August karo tiltang anil lulu mfutata UK wolungale.
And I got the information from family here as well as he himself. In December.
Did he tell you who was responsible for his torture at the NIA?
No, I
didn't ask him that.
No,
how many times was he detained at the NIA? Was it just once?
Once.
Was he detained anywhere else apart from NIA and the Banjul police station when he was with you?
No. Honey.
These were the only 2 places.
Kindly tell us what the impact of this experience has had on you.
Well, it's adulthood. And I know impact it only had on me is the fact that my children were maltreated. And I was also deprived for having any relationship with my family whilst being detained in detention. And at the time also, I had a child who was just 7 months old when I had to leave her behind. And in 2009,
between 2009
I received the news again. One of my younger son, who was also in grade 5,
grade 5,
passed away.
Abanta.
And I couldn't say farewell to him. But apart from that too, even my own wife, whom I found to be my best friend, requested divorce. I tried all means to maintain her, but she refused. And then the divorce was even granted at Brikama Magistrate Court. Then when I went to find another woman, well, we got married, of course. And 4 months later, she told me that she heard from the people that I had a problem with Yaya Jammeh, that I will never come back to Gambia again, and also requested for divorce. And that's it. It's all impacted on my lifetime.
And I'm sorry to hear that, Mr. Jammeh. I know that you went through really difficult things, and indeed you were not able to come into the country whilst Yaya Jammeh was in power. When did you eventually come back?
Si haketu Mr. Jammeh nyimbe keta kuti me along akoleate kang andung kule me along ka sangarata yo ndunga nyilong ko ite saino la nam banko kang waire wato me Yaya Jammeh be mararola sila inata saina watu yimale.
I returned on the 1st of December 2017.
Msetanan December karotili follow. 2017.
That was after you had made sure that Yahya Jammeh was no longer
He's
in
gone.
power.
Wala mnyinti watu me yalon ko Yahya Jammeh tijang. Sedo ko ha watu atata.
Because at the Banjul Magistrate, but Banjul Magistrate Court,
Kado Banjul Magistrate Court,
if you read the other newspaper edition,
ni kibar kaiti do nyim fanan karang,
it was mentioned there is a bench warrant against me.
ye nyim foko, ye waranto parendi, wale muta kaito me ka fay bench warrant pour kante muta.
And you have provided about 3 newspaper cuttings, all related to your case.
Yes,
and I will tender them in. We won't have time to go through them.
Ye kibar kaiti kuntu sabadin na me yalon ko bebe dendi la kitolla. Nde wato soto la pour ka dungulu be kono bari bitung ibijang.
But the commissioners will be supplied with them so that they can go through it at their pleasure.
Mba futandi la commissioner lube male pour lube sa jube mune be safari ngo kaito lubala.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to tender 3 newspaper cuttings into evidence as Exhibit 168H.
Sorry, did you give the exhibit number?
Yes, I did.
Oh.
168H.
Oh, splendid. Request granted. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Jammeh, also when you came back, did anything happen in regards to your unlawful dismissal?
Mr. Jammeh bri murutana ye bay nyame men ni silo mantanyola fo ku keta wotole bang.
Did you pursue this case with the new government?
Fo ya ko normale bang ininyi mansakunda kuto.
Indeed, I did so.
Nga katale de.
I was granted what you call reinstatement under retirement.
Ye mendin na wala mnyinti ko ye murundi palaso nyinto barbitung anin ko tata nyola nyamin walem ya munta retirement walem nado ko wala dawato sita.
And as a pensioner,
Ko bitu wairi sila antemu pensionati
I cannot any longer
nte nyim femfen kenola
be employed into civil service,
pour ka do ko soto mansakunda do ko bundala.
which I know
Me ya lon ko nte ngalon ne
is false.
o mu kuma soto baloleti.
That is why I opened my own business
Wala na ngam fansun safar bunda dayele
to be a consultant,
pour ka ke do ko lu sambarango lonnati
as well as to be, do construction on my own.
anin fanan sikari lo roke nin mensulata la sara o
But I
sikem
went back
fansun
to
do
High
ko.
Court. So I called on to my lawyer
Bari nganna loya kumandi
to find out if my case can be continued.
fo na kito nyim fo sa tentendino.
What he informed me was that
Ay mem fo nya wala nyinti ko
for civil cases in the Gambia,
pour moni mote ma kito lu Gambia jang
it is a policy
sarto le nyinti
after 6 years
nin sanji woro tambita
means that case is just expired.
wala nyinti ko wo kito la wato bandale.
If it is criminal cases,
Nin kuruya kito le mu
that can take as long as it takes.
wo ka wati jango talno le ko fojan ni wati o wati.
But I didn't rest on that.
Bari mankolu dandi woto de.
I had to go to High Court myself
Mfangale tata High Court
to inquire
pour ka nyinin ka roke
whether the state filed an appeal here.
fodu mansakunda ya kiti sayin kango dundi jele.
We went through the archives.
Ntate la kaiti kotolu kaiti maboringulu kono
There was no mention
kuma mam foje fang
of my case being filed
men ketan na kitoti ka fo asafeta jele.
to a court of appeal.
Men sike kiti sayin kango bundati.
So to date, you have received no adequate compensation for your unlawful dismissal, either from the state or through the courts.
Monta fo kana abula bila. Buluma sai manke itela karola kabo man sabala karola wala bang kiti bundal la karola ila ko nyinta mata nyame.
Absolutely nothing.
Sedo ko femfem manke.
You have also supplied the correspondence through the office of the president, just talking about your unlawful termination.
Yes.
Ye kaito fanan dinna le men keta ila bayri nyati men nin loi mantaño la men tambita nin president la office otola.
As well as your desire to be reinstated and retired.
Anim fanan ko lafta la nyami pour ye murundi do ko la anim fanan kana e do ko nyin la wuci do ko wucew nyin ka bula ke da.
We have your application directly to the office of the president as well as their response.
Nga letro soto ye men sa fe kata president la office oto ani ye jabi menna.
And I would like, Mr. Chairman, to tender those last pieces of evidence as Exhibit 168I.
Request granted, Council.
Thank you very much.
Council, I want to, sorry, may I take permission? I'm pressed, I want to go to the toilet.
We are just about to conclude. Can you wait?
I just want to pass water.
Actually, you have the concluding remarks. All right, please, you can go ahead.
Please.
Thank you. Yeah, sorry about that.
Which way?
Mr. Chairman, I just have to apologize that we've gone over the period, but we're just about to conclude. I just wanted to finish it, and then we'll take a break for the next witness.
Thank you. You were very daring in asking him to wait.
Indeed.
Sorry for the inconvenience.
No, that's okay. I hope you're fine now.
Yes, I'm okay.
All right. I had actually come to the end of my questions, unless you have anything else to add, but you will be given an opportunity during your concluding remarks.
Amunta ngana nyinin karo ntefutata bandulato le baribitum fobe kuma sotula ebe men fola baribitum hanembi mbe silo dile lale pour itefana mbela dia mo kumfala kuma kanglu menula.
Mr. Chairman, I hand over the witness to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Council, and thank you, Mr. Lamin Jammeh, for coming to testify before the Commission.
Chairman ye Council numbara, bari Mr. Jammeh abe fanan numbara la isonta kana sede yaro la commission nyatilingula.
And I'm truly sorry that you and your family had to endure so much in the hands of the NIA.
Ise haketu inila dimbayalu ali mantoro taki men warata NIA ulubulu.
One quick question on my part. Your son, Sheriff Jammeh, when the 5 days that he spent at the NIA and was tortured, was he 14 years old at that time?
Idimma Sirif Jammeh wato men ya mutayo tililulo menke NIA ewlu bulu hanfo ya tajreya fo be ya tara wotembo fo ya tara be sanji tanin nani?
Yes, sir.
Ha to nyala.
Thank you very much. Extraordinary. A minor being subject to torture is extraordinary.
Nyimuku ke balote dindingu men ya lonko awulu sango be temberin wo tembo pour ka mutaka tajreya wo mukuleti men ya lonko akita kawa koti.
Commissioners, if you have any questions, please indicate. Otherwise, Imam Jallo, you have the floor, please.
Imam Jallo lafte nyinin kala.
Mr. Witness,
Akosedo,
I am very sorry for what happened to you.
ise haketu menketela ketabala fati.
I'm sure everybody who has heard this story will be sorry for you.
Alu momem be nyimoy ngalong for ye balafaye.
But we know all over the world there is police brutality.
Ngalon ne dunia mume obeko no police la tilimbali anin tajiriya.
Other arms of the forces are now also involved.
Adu na kanto nin tankada bunda la karakotangolu fanaliye dabula o tilimbali ku kilingol.
You have experienced all these difficult conditions.
Ite nyin ku kolengolu mumeolu betaki.
What could you advise government to stop, to possibly put measures to stop this type of behavior of our armed forces?
Ibe mune ya maro di la mansakundala. Puru mansakunda si wuli ye feroke. Puru nyin tajire ya men kanto nin tankada bundalu men mu security bundaluti ya bula.
The second question is,
you've
also had experience working in area councils.
Area council bundala.
I'm surprised to hear that all these things are happening in this country. What advice again could you give to government to regulate our councils, ensure that the monies collected will be used for the well-being of the people of the environment? Thank you.
Thank you, Imam. Well, actually, the root cause of all these irregularities or inhuman treatment is all part of what you call corruption. As for the police force, I think it's by now proper let their services be upgraded. Their income to prevent corruption. Before, is unlike today. Because you have human rights as pillar of our democracy. But nonetheless, at least they should also be equipped to ensure that they have what you call body cameras. So that any event that may happen, it will be brought before the law. This is how it happened. And the police also, there must be what you call warrants to serve people who are alleged to be convicts. And without a warrant being served to a person who is supposed to be arrested, it can create what you call struggle. But on the other hand, they should be taught
inyante karandilale
what is human rights.
munam hadama ya nyantoti
Because this has been a program
katu nyimu program leti
that was introduced by this government.
me yalon ko nyimmansa kundale yo dundi
But they are not also obeying it.
bari mantara son kangama de mantara tamandi kang
And this has to be enforced.
adun wo fayke kuti ibe men tamandila
Again,
koteke
you have so many lawsuits
kiti samandir kiti jamal le soto kiti samandir jamal le soto na
on
kito la
criminal offenses
menu keta kuruya silolu ti tonyendirolu to
like burglary,
menu keta ko suñaro
nuisance,
kamolu detendi dulato ke dewundi
which even if it is reported to the police,
me yalon ko hanni ya kibaro di police olla
they will take their course to take it to courts.
isi silo tano pour ka samba kito bunda
But the courts delay,
bari kiti bunda le kana tarde wonati
and this normally causes their frustration.
adu niwo dukundi tawonya wole kana ke moli jikiti nyati
And it also frustrates the complainant.
adu memfanga ya ko samba kito bundala afanan kana jikitinya le soto akokono
So as for law enforcement officers,
woto luwa tamandilalu
they have to make sure
nyanta jelale ko
they also know the law proper.
ifangoli luwa long anyama
Because most of them, they don't even know what is A to Z in the Constitution.
dolu fangolu be kono na bankola marali sartu buko constitution oni
You
hani
ask-
kabo e kata z imam femfe lonje
They don't know it.
imalo
Even those in the traffic.
hani menu be traffico kansilo kan
So many irregularities, abnormalities is happening in the traffic.
ku ke bali jamal le kake traffico kono
But they are not aware of it.
bari tilo mahani bo kala mafang
So as for that case,
woto ya sabu
I would advise government
mbe man sakunda ya marla
to what you call review,
pour ka kolu sayin kan jube
what you call police reform.
pour ka falingu nati poliso fananu la bundala
Then for area councils,
pour area council lu dum
the word corruption still remains, is embedded.
e ka fanyi me corruption na karoni tapale amunta we sulo dun ne foka pare area council bundala
To get it eroded,
pour ka o sulo lu wutu
it will take time
abe wato talal
because the executive
ka tu kunton ka bunda
have hands
wo fangol bulo soto akono
the income of the councils.
bolle bulo soto council bunda la soto bulo kono
Unless
ning amanke ko
we break that arm of
Ngawo-
government,
nga mansa
civil
kunda la
servants,
mansa kunda ni mansa kunda do kula lu fanale ka soto menke wona karoni o takpale ya bunda lu to nimmo wo bulo lu kati
supporting the councils
pour ka council bunda lu makoy
for their own benefits.
pour fangol la tineo kan
Unless that ends,
ni wo tapale ya ni o nakaro man lo
we will always be struggling with this corruption.
ni nyin nakaro ni tapale ya betar la nyo sabala drong
And one thing I know,
andun kukilim beje ngamelo
councils at the stage now,
council lu betembe da mento sai
you have the Local Government Act 2002,
mansa kunda ringol la loi me ya londi 2002
Local Government Finance Audit Act 2004,
anin konti bo fana na karola e mellondi man sakundari ngol la karola 2004
which I participated to write.
me ya lon te fanga tarta molu kono men ya safe
Then all the contents
bari membe be saferin wo kono
are not enforced.
ibukata man different
They only talk about decentralization,
e ka men fodoro wolem decentralization wala ka kolu wolem nyinti ka bunda do ko bunda la kolu janjandi dinkira o dinkira aya fansul lodula soton
it's not going that same way.
bara man tata taka wo nyama de
It is centralization.
amunta janjandiro
That is self-interest.
ba ke kan fankun na fale kan
This is why there are so many amendments
wala na falindiri jamalu keta
to suit the government.
pour que man sakunda sewondi doron
Gambia is a small country.
Gambia mu bankundineti
You don't need to have governors
governor mansula wala
because they should have power.
katu nyanta sembole soton
The power remains within the people.
sembo be molle bulu
Now, if you subtract or if you reduce or if you contract that power from the people,
niyo sembo dete wala ya bondi molu bulu wala ya ata molu bulu
obviously there will be no development.
boto yiru ata kelade
We are only collecting the revenues without applying it back to the people. This is where corruption takes effect. Now, those at the hem of business, the hem of the, how do you call it, decentralization process, they are not intelligent enough. They are not knowledgeable enough what actually decentralization means.
Decentralization
So all the funds that will be gathered for revenue collection is all going in vain. Because the council should be responsible for the development of their area of jurisdiction.
Katu kansulolu nyina muila lonkunto dunoti itele kaw namo kanin damen noto bundalu dinkiralu men be koto itele nyanta o dinkiralu yirwandila.
And this is not happening.
Pari nyimandar kekan.
So I think I hope I'm able to answer your question.
Ngamera otongela nyinin karo jabile.
Thank you very much. Mr. Jammeh, if you have any concluding remarks to make, please proceed to make them now.
Inumbara bake Mr. Jammeh, ifanang ila kacha iba kumfala damin nin kumakangulu bebulu ilafta menu fala ifanang si tentensilan yo kumakangulu banke.
Thank you very much, Chairman.
Inumbara bake Chairman.
I appreciate the invitation to be here.
Kankumandi jang kana sedeyaro la jang akitanye sewoti.
And I appreciate the hospitality I received.
Andu yenjia nyame yebunya men dinna akitanye sewoti.
And I'm also proud to be associated with the Commission.
Adu nyin ketanye nganyati pour nyin commission e kusoto nyotema.
Because I was also a member of the Constitutional Review Commission.
Adu ndefana mumoleti mentartanun Constitutional Review Commission kono wolem bankola constitution kuto menda data menu sita kunna ndefana mbewlu kono le.
But your commission has a long way to go.
Bara lanyin commission yo sila jangole sotal bita menna.
And it's the best commission.
Andu atemu nyonta ngoleti.
Best in the sense that
na fo ala nyonta ya momenti
you stand on the pillars of human rights.
Albeloring hadamaya nyanto barumalu fangoleka.
Violation.
Menuketa nyanta tinyaluti.
So the victims,
bitungu nyanta tinyalata menukang,
one way or the other,
nyaunyandi nyama karawo karala,
must give you their support.
Full finally la makoiro dialla.
So that you are able to achieve your noble goal.
Pour alisi futano alla hammo momenti ali nyanta doku kendo menkela memu doku forlinguti.
You have different series of testimonies that you had.
Aliyesia de ar jamal le moy jande.
But mine actually
barinteta
is based on corruption.
Abelaring tajireya nin nakaro nin top tapaleo yale kan.
But my experience tells me
barin nalondo e memfonye
I first have to apologize Gambians.
Follow funga Gambian kulu bolo sai.
Because I was part of it.
Katum fanamba konole nung.
Giving support to Yaya Jammeh.
Mbe Yaya Jammeh fasa kanka makoi.
And then I know.
Bare nga long.
I base my support.
No makoiro nga la menkang.
On their quest for what you call probity. Transparency and accountability, as well as soldiers with difference. But that was a ploy I regret to support. This is why I have to apologize to all Gambians. We are the main host. We have been wailing. We have been hailing. We have been praise singing. Jaya Jammeh. That is why he resembles himself as God of the nation. We are responsible for doing that. So obviously, I will also recommend leaders should show by sample. Not only the civilians, ordinary civilians like me. Among the executive as well. The president must appear here. Because during the impasse, he ran away to go to Senegal. The vice president also should be invited to appear. When she was heading the Gamco trap, what maltreatment she encountered. This is why I said leaders must show by example. We are only rankings. Rankings. Come in normal uncle. But nonetheless, we as Gambians, we are Africans. When politics come, let it not cause any division. Government as a whole has to be accountable. Because Gambia today, we are all suffering from what you call inflation. There is no price control. And you disregard, let's say, the experts, those are the retirees. That you disregard them to be included in the public service. Now you are putting the wrong people in the right place. This is why the politicians, we must not allow for them to divide us. And we must also try to make sure they don't buy our integrity. They don't buy our dignity by money. Because once you bribe us, the poor one, he will start to praising you. When in the end, he will be the victim. This is why I said I must have to apologize all Gambians. That supporting Yaya Jammeh was a regret. Because I was the initiator of what you call Committee for the Defense of the Revolution. I was the national chairman. And I raised, promoted Yaya Jammeh to be where he was yesterday. Until the amalgamation to be pillars. No, pillars. Yeah, there is a movement called pillars. There is a movement called, how do you call it, Moja. Led by Tamsir Jallo. Which plus my own movement to come together to form July 22nd. So we are what you call the pioneers of that revolution. And I also happen to become the chairperson of APRC Sukuta branch. And I happen also to be the vice chairman of APRC Commonwealth District. But with all the wailing, with all the frustration sitting under the sun, I mean, we suffered
Mbatata.
for somebody
Moye.
who has become a monster.
Menata ke dafen jaubati.
For the simple reason that
Dalila kang meya lonko.
he has no regard for humanity.
Amang hadamaya domandingo fango soto asondo moto.
So we must also be careful.
Woto nseng hakilotu.
Even the constitution we have just prepared,
Haninga constitution o menda dateng.
the same uprising is coming again.
Ateo ku kilingulebe wuli kang koteke.
The Jammeh Inquiry Commission
Nying janela kisikisiro men ketanung.
is gone,
Atata.
and we don't have any results about it.
Adung mang kibaru o kibaru moye akwala.
We also prepared the draft constitution,
Nga constitution kuto fanandada.
which was supported by the overall Gambians
Me ya lonko Gambian kolu be ya fasa.
and those in the diaspora.
Ani men ya lonko be banko e
It's
bantala.
also gone in vain.
O fanan fela tata wole nyama kense.
Now it only remains your TRRC.
Amunta nyin TRRC doronne tuta jang silang.
You must stand on your feet.
TRRC nyanta lole singola de.
If
Ning.
your recommendations
Alla ya marolu albe menu kela.
come in vain like the constitution,
Ni olu fanal nata ke kenseng ko constitution o keta nyaming.
as well as the Jammeh inquiry,
Anin jane la kisikisiro fanan keta nyaming.
I think we'll have to use our hands to blow each another.
Woto ngamirambe bulla kelo kela janne.
Because you are doing the most truest job.
Kato albedo ko menke kan anyondo ku tonya mansoto.
Even the Anti-Corruption Commission, which is supposed to be established,
Hani inyanta commission o melon dila me yalon ko wolle nyanta tapaleaning nakaro kelela.
that should even still be maintained with this commission.
Wo hanim bi wolle nyanta lola ka sabate aninyin commission.
And that has to go all the way around.
Andu o nyanta fanna bele mala.
This is why I recommend
Wala nambenyi ya maro dila.
that even your mandate,
Hani alakango albelori menka.
because of this COVID-19, how do you call it, lockdown,
Nyin COVID-19 jankaro e kolu menu sorong.
you need to have extension of more time, at least another 1 year.
An alinyanta wato soton nale kalafa membital hanfo sanji kilinyong.
Because there are a lot of cases to come about.
Katu kujamale be koma menu nyanta nala de.
And because of the break you had,
Katu mune yo sabu nga wicheo melonung wala yo sabu.
and the whole world is only listening to your commission.
Adun dunia bebe nyin commission la moy kanne.
So I would advise this government,
Woto mbenyi man sakunda ya marila.
your commission,
Alla commission.
if they don't take care of your commission, your recommendation,
Ni mal la commission topoto albe ya maro mendila imawota.
it may bring uprising.
Abe mamango sabu la nyim banko kan.
Because you are on the right footing
Katu albeta makan tonyani tilingu silole kan.
to consolidate democracy,
Purka demokrasi kafunyo maka bambandi ay balu.
to ensure that freedom of how do you call it, expression, freedom of speech prevails.
Purka jako mola kalimo la taram fambulo kango fana yello ay sabati.
So therefore,
Woto wo kamala.
I don't need to take much time.
Mang amanjare ngam wati dota koteke.
I thank the imams.
Mbe alimamulu numbarala.
I thank my fellow youth commission members.
Mbe funding kewlu numbarala menu be commission kono.
And I also thank the councils
Mbe kan loyalu kansilolu menu be commission kono mbolu fanal numbarala.
for a job well done.
Yedoku kendo menke.
This will go a long way.
Nyimbe sila jannetala.
It is a legacy.
Nyimu kuleti membe tula koma.
But the advice goes to the president.
Bari ya maro bitala president ole ya.
Let him not joke with this commission.
Akana tulu nyin commission ala.
Let the politicians not joke with this commission
Politician olu kana tulu nyin commission ala.
for their personal interests,
Purite la kunkilin nafakan.
as they had that exploitation of our commission, of our constitution.
Ko yenna constitution o itamandi nyami la nafakan.
It's just going to be a waste in vain.
Abitakela kasara kensen ole tidrong.
And the corruption also,
Andu nakaro nin tapalea fanang.
we must try and evade from corruption.
Nsa katanya besio nyama ngang kodiala.
There will be no progress.
Yiru ata sotola de.
There will be no peace without justice.
Kairete sotonno la nin tilingu nin to nyama
And there is
sabati.
no justice without peace.
Adun tilingu fanante keno la menin kairo bukata.
You are on justice platform.
Atelbelorin tilingu silo le kanjang.
So the way they spoiled the constitution,
the constitution o tinya nyamin,
and the way they spoiled the Janneh inquiry,
adu ye jane kisikisiro commission o tinya nyamin,
it should not be on this commission.
o manyan na kela nyin commission la.
I thank you very much.
Ngale be numbara.
Thank you very much indeed, Mr. Jammeh,
Numbara bake Mr. Jammeh,
for those very wise concluding remarks.
Ye kuma nyamen to kumolu menu fotela kumo kumfadula.
We appreciate your coming to testify before the commission.
Ninketanye nidiati puru isonta kana CDR la commission nyati lula.
And again, I reiterate our sorrow that you and your family had to endure so much in the hands of NIA.
Mbesa inkana mbenyin sa inkana inila dimbayalu aliyebatani mantoro mentaki NIA lubula ketanyim fanali balafati.
But thank you also for flying very high the flag of Armitage School.
Inumbara bake fanang ye Armitage karambungu la bandero wulindi santo.
You made some confessions here.
Ye amunta kumolu fojang me ya lonko le keta ifangola kolulanya banke oti.
Confessing to what you did during the early years of the Jammeh regime.
Amunta Jammeh mansa kunda da mutadulato it barata kolu menu la yemenu sata jang.
I hope the country forgives you for those associations.
Oto mbenye mutala ko fo bankosi yamfa ifanaye ila wolu dulalu tonu.
You must have been a Macklin Kunda boy to do all those things.
Munde benong Armitage la Macklin Kunda le wala na yo koluke.
The Saunders boys don't do that.
Benu benong Saunders wolu bukaoke.
But again, thank you very much indeed for coming to testify before the commission.
Bari kota ke hanimbi inumbara bake pour kana CDR la commission nyati lingula.
We will take a lunch break and come back at 3:15.
Bitum bita kontonga lansi sayna nintalan sabatam bita miniti tan lulula.
Thank you. Meeting is adjourned.